Hello and welcome to Snow Country Stories Japan. My name is Peter Carnell, a tour guide and writer based in Nagano, and this is a podcast all about life and travel in Japan's legendary Yukiguni. Today's episode takes us once again to Niigata Prefecture and the small rural area of Matsunoyama. Famous for its very heavy snowfall, Matsunoyama is a place in many ways defined by that snow. The hardship of living there has long necessitated ingenuity, resilience, and a strong community that must work together in order to survive. Over centuries, a unique culture developed around life in the snow, and though modern infrastructure and machinery have made life a little easier, it remains a challenging yet beautiful place to live. Snow is on the ground in Matsunoyama for much of the year, and even when it is not, preparing for the next winter defines a lot of what goes on there all year round. In today's episode, I speak with Kamimura Shotaro, a regional revitalisation coordinator based in Matsunoyama. As his job title suggests, Shotaro's work tasks him with revitalisation of the community, and as such, we discuss the multiple challenges being faced by the people of Matsunoyama, while also exploring the opportunities of life in the deep snow. This was an important chat which highlights the reality for many rural communities in Japan, but there's also opportunity and cause for optimism, something Shotaro and I discuss in the second half of the interview, including reasons to visit Matsunoyama. I'll leave it to Shotaro to recommend things to do, and if you're interested in any of those, listen on after our chat when I'll provide a little bit more information about each. I guess the point I want to get across is that Matsunoyama, like many areas in the snow country, is facing real challenges, but that doesn't mean its story is a negative one. It's a beautiful place, a special place, and one with some fantastic reasons to visit or even choose to live there. You can follow Shotaro through his website snownotes.org. It's mostly in Japanese, but Shotaro also publishes some pages in English, and of course links to everything we discuss and a map showing you where Matsunoyama is are on the episode page of the Snow Country Stories Japan website. That's snowcountrystories.com. We had intended to record the interview at Shotaro's home, only to have a work crew arrive unexpectedly and begin felling trees outside, requiring a last-minute change of venue to a fairly unique setting. The interview was recorded in a small roadside tea house named Matsunoyama Chakra. Run by local farmer Shimamura-san, Matsunoyama Chakra produces organic tulsi or holy basil tea, a herbal tea from India. We conducted the interview on the second floor, in a storage loft sitting below and between drying baskets of holy basil bush. I really should start taking video of my interviews, as the journey to get there, accessed along tiny and very scenic mountain roads, and locations we chat in, are often as interesting as the chats themselves, and in this case it was definitely the best smelling and coziest location I've interviewed in. The tea is great, by the way. The weather was pretty wild on the days, so you may hear the rain outside and passing little white farmers' trucks along the wet road. Shimamura-san wasn't there on the day, so a very big thank you to him for letting us use the tea house. I hope you enjoy. So we're speaking today in Matsunoyama in Niigata. I think for lots of listeners, they probably haven't heard of Matsunoyama before. So could you explain just where it is and how would you describe this place?
Yeah, maybe I will explain the basic information. Matsunoyama is an old city name that merged into the Tokamachi city in 2005. And access to Matsunoyama is about 50 minutes from Echigo-Yuzawa to Matsudai Station using a train. So Yuzawa in Tokyo maybe almost 70 or 80 minutes in Shinkansen. And then also from Matsudai Station, 15 to 20 minutes driving from Matsudai to Matsunoyama. And then the total population of Matsunoyama is 1,651 people. And then within the Matsunoyama, there are many shurak. Shurak means maybe hamlets or villages, small villages in English. And then around maybe 30 shurak in total. And then I live in a place called Kurokura Shurak. And then how I describe this area is this area experiences a very, very heavy snowfall, about 3 or 4 meters every year. So people have lived with snow for a long time. And then there is also a unique traditional festival, and also tools and living environments have been developed to make life with snow more convenient. And also this area is characterized by Satoyama landscape, and with many terraced rice fields, and also it faces various challenges typical of rural areas in Japan, including aging population, shortage of successors, and abandoned farmland, and also issues related to the survival of Shurak. Yeah, that's what I can explain.
It's a great introduction, which says that even though this is a small place, this is a rural place, there's lots of things to discuss. Let's start with the winter, because you mentioned that this place is known for its winters, very heavy snow. Just how much snow does this area receive, and what is winter like here?
So around November, this area experienced the first snowfall. But after it melts, we usually get a heavy snowfall around New Year's, and which becomes Neyuki. Neyuki means maybe the base of the snowpack, maybe. Before that happens, like Shurak people, we became busy with the task of yukigakoi, so which means putting up the snow fences around our houses, and also tidying up agricultural tools. And then maybe January or February, we get lots of snow, and then becomes 3 meters or 4 meters. During the winter, this area relies on communal support to cope with the snow. In the past, people used to help each other with removing snow in the public facilities, as well as clearing the snow from individual households. And even today, Kurokura Shurak, we organize a group for removing snow, and then clear each household.
Yeah, so because when I first lived in the snow country, I lived very nearby here in a town called Tokomachi. And I used to come up here, I used to volunteer with the large arts festival that we might talk about a little bit later, which goes on up here as well. And what I learned from that experience was that the snow is on the ground in this area for around 4 to 5 months a year. But then when the snow is not here, the rest of the year really is still about winter, getting ready for the next winter to come to survive the winter. To give an example, you already mentioned it, that one of the things in winter that will happen here is that the first floor of the building, of the home, they'll board it up. And what I've seen here before in some of the older buildings is a door on the second floor of the house. In winter, people would come out of the second floor of their house. And talking to some of the older guys up here before as well, they used to tell me that when they were young, so we're talking probably 70 years ago, 80 years ago, the entire house would be covered in snow. And we're talking a 2 or 3 story pitched roof house. So it's an amazing amount of snow here.
About like house environment, it's totally, they are making the tools for living with the snow. Like, for example, I explained the kanjiki. And then also you said the thatched roof, pitched roof. And then that's for the roof designed to allow snow to slide off naturally. And then also like in the houses, there is thick the posts and beams. So they are used to withstand the weight of the snow. So I really feel that around this area, like they are really thinking for deal with the snow. And also like identity, this is what I think though, but maybe a strong connection with the community. It's more stronger than like other communities because people work together well, because snow brings sometimes life-threatening situations in winter. So, for example, if you don't remove snow from the roof, maybe it can cause a risk of old house collapsing. And then especially, this area, snow is very heavy, so people have to remove snow. And also, it's also essential to keep roads clear and ensure timely response to emergencies when it happens. So people really tied together. But I also listen story that sometimes people say, yeah, living here is tough.
I think it's definitely tough. But one thing I want to get across in my podcast, because I've experienced it myself up here, it's tough, but I think it's better.
Yeah, it's really opposite opinion I hear. Sometimes people say, like removing snow is very tough. It's busy, tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
For the body too.
Yeah.
But like in the winter, it's really calm.
Yeah.
And then people sometimes say we can take rest and be relaxed. Or sometimes it's tough.
Speaking of jobs, I'd like to ask, what is your role here? Because you're not originally from Matsunoyama.
I began living here in October 2021 and currently work as a local revitalisation cooperator in this area. So my responsibilities include assisting with the agriculture and supporting community activities and events, and helping with the exhibition of artwork from the Kurokura Shuraku at the Echigo Tsumari Art Triennale. And then about the local vitalization cooperator program, this program is a program where local governments actively welcome individuals from urban areas who are considering moving to depopulated regions. And the term of the program is 3 years. And then during 3 years, cooperators build connections with the local community and finding their own business and jobs. So this is what I'm doing right now.
You mentioned that you're not from Matsunoyama. Where is home for you? Where are you from?
I'm from Echigo-Yuzawa, the next city of Tokamatsu City, and then famous for ski resorts.
It's famous for ski resorts, and for many Japanese, it's the real Yukiguni because of the book of the name.
Yeah,
is based in, right? So, now you've already mentioned Shotaro. You've already mentioned that this area is experiencing a population decline. Current population of around 1,200 people, 1,200 people is what you said.
Since 1975. The total population has been decreasing in all regions of Tokamatsu City. This is the sources from Tokamatsu City population vision. And in Matsunoyama area, if we take the population in 1975 as a 100%, the population in 2015 was a 36%.
So if we take the number here, 1975 was
in 1975,
can we consider that 100%?
Yeah, if that's a 100%. Yep. So 2015, it was 36%.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's half is decline. And also in 2023, it stands at 27%.
What are the reasons for that? Why is this happening?
Maybe young people move to big cities. That's, I think, main reasons. And why young people move to big cities is one is job opportunities, and then one is maybe a convenience in daily life, and then one is education. Like when I was graduated high school, many of my friends went to the university in Tokyo or a big city. So. And then I can imagine that maybe after the people graduate university in Tokyo or a big city, and they find a job around there.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that people leave and then they stay in the Tokyo. I don't know. There are many jobs, and then they can get career. But in local area compared to Tokyo, maybe there is a more huge job opportunities and then choice.
So how does that affect an area like this? As you've already mentioned, it's a place of heavy snow that relies on the community to work together to get through the winter. It's also an agricultural community. So the decreasing population in Matsunoyama, what's the effect on the community here?
If the region has decline in the population, so I think there are 2 points we can affect. So one is increase the difficulty in the agriculture. So when people decrease, farming is more challenging because it increases the workload for individual farmers. And also it's hard to maintain the facilities and the farm equipment people commonly use. So difficulty in sustaining agriculture also may lead to increased abandoned farmland. And then it negatively impact the landscape and safety, especially in a region like Matsunoyama, which is very easy to happen landslide.
Because it's a very mountainous area.
Yeah.
And the agriculture we're talking about primarily is rice, which is in terraced rice fields.
A terraced rice field is basically created after the landslides.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why if people don't maintain the terraced rice fields, and if its rice fields become abandoned farmland, it's more easy to do landslide again.
Yeah.
So that's why people have to maintain, right?
Can I just ask a question there? So I didn't know that. So the terraced rice fields are created from where previous landslides occur.
Yeah.
They don't clear the trees.
It's a landslide first, and then it was easy to make stair-shaped tanada. Otherwise, people are hard to make
It's
a
a lot of
tanada in the mountain.
Yeah.
Just in the mountain.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And I guess that if the landslide has occurred there, it might mean that the water is naturally being pushed that direction anyway.
Yes.
So the
And
water's
then the
already
soil is coming, and then it's become more easy to construct the tanada. So that's what I heard. Maybe I don't know. Some area is just in the mountain. They cut trees
Yeah,
and
I guess there'd
make
be some. Yeah.
tanada, or it might possible. But maybe tanada around here.
That makes perfect sense because if you think, I hadn't thought about it until now, but when you think of the size of some of these rice terrace fields, to do that by yourself, to clear the trees and then to actually build up that land would be a huge amount of work.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense, yeah.
Yeah, so that's people just thought that's easy to make a tanada. Yeah, that's one point. And also like one is maybe a snow-related disasters. It becomes difficult to assist each other, the snow removal, if population is declining, right? And there is also potential for difficulties in maintaining the transportation infrastructure. So when mutual assistance becomes challenging, it has possibility to collapse a house, and especially for elderly individuals living alone, because older people they don't have any energy for removing snow. So that's what I think. Declining population affects Satoyama life.
Now you keep using this term Satoyama. Again, it's a term that maybe my listeners haven't heard before. Can you explain what Satoyama is?
Yeah, sure. This is from website nippon.com. So Japan's Satoyama are rural spaces where nature and people have traditionally coexisted through sustainable management of rice fields, ponds, mountains, wood, and meadows. Satoyama is said to constitute approximately 40% of the country's land area. This is from Ministry of the Environment. And it's not completely untouched by nature, but also it's not entirely managed by humans. And people have utilized the rich natural environment for their life.
Yeah, so we're talking about secondary forests. So it's kind of a buffer zone between the human villages and the true wild, the true forest. So it's areas that humans used to go into, and they would work in the forest, and they would use it for collection of timber, of different fuel, biomass, things like this. So Satoyama plays an important role in communities like this, but it relies on people. And so the people not being here means the Satoyama landscape is changing. If those Satoyama landscapes can't be maintained, what's the effect in an area like this? So
the one is impact of ecosystem. So the reduction of biodiversity can lead to increased risk of species extinction, especially Satoyama. Because of Satoyama, some of the species are still existed. So this is going to be one of the impact. The other one is loss of watershed conservation function. So usually the water run off to the underground, and it rapidly run off the water to the river it causes a risk of flooding. Because of Satoyama, the water or snow melt water, they permeate very slowly, and then they protect from flooding. So that's the mountain, Satoyama's function, right? But if Satoyama is not maintained, they rapidly run off into the river, and it causes flood. And then the three is impact of agriculture. If Satoyama is not maintained, it means maybe there is a more abandoned farmland. So if there is a more abandoned farmland, that leads to expansion of wildlife damage because people are not maintained the land, farmland. The wild animals comes and then maybe they eat the rice or they just come to the rice fields, and that's not good for the farmers. So that's also risk. Cultural impact too. Because of Satoyama, they maybe create some food culture, or they have a unique festival or events. Maybe that's also the risk. I mean, they maybe might be a loss if there is if Satoyama is not maintained. Yeah.
It's a very different situation here in a country like Japan to my home country of Australia, where a lot of farming in Australia are large industrial farms, very big country, big flat country. But farming in Japan is typically families and maintaining their fields, in this case the terraced rice fields. So this is a community that really relies on the people. And so if the people are not here, then everything can collapse quite quickly. So are you seeing that in Matsunoyama? Are you seeing that there's a real change happening with the decreasing population, or it's still the community is still functioning quite well?
Now maybe it's a time to think of how we manage the Satoyama. Sorry, I forgot the year, but maybe 30 or 40 years ago, it was around 75 households around here. Right now, it's 23 households. And then it's more than half of them decline. That means, well, simply there is becoming few people. And so people have to think about maybe organization or how they manage the facilities, how they manage the farm equipment, how they work together. So that's the point we have to think.
So snowmelt is the main water supply of Matsunoyama. It feeds the rice fields, and as a result, the rice is very high quality here. It's renowned for the high quality rice, not just Matsunoyama, but Niigata in general.
Yeah.
So rice is also fundamental to identity here in this area?
Yeah, and also becoming the farmer is one of the identity. In the past, it used to be an agricultural community where Shurak people had strong connection among themselves. And then strong bonds are created through shared responsibilities. But today, things change a bit differently. So today, there is a diversification of community members. And maintaining the community has become increasingly challenging. It has become common for part-time farmers to participate. The traditional approach of enforcing community cooperation through like rules and regulations no longer works. So it's in the modern rural communities, it's essential to explain carefully why working together is rational, and encourage participation based on understanding and agreement. So the maybe identity and then also agreements of like how to work together becomes changed differently.
How is climate change affecting the community here? Because you mentioned, for example, this year has been very little rain through summer. I think you said only one day of rain. Can you talk to me, how is that affecting the lifestyle here? You know, is the snow decreasing? And just generally, what's the impact?
About impact, there are two trends. that are commonly mentioned. So the one is in the long term, annual maximum snow depth and snowfall has been decreasing. And then two is there is a research indicating that increase of extreme localized daily snowfall depths. So it's kind of opposite, but
So we're talking about less consistent snow, but more dramatic
snow.
single snowfall.
Yeah. And then let me explain about detail and impact. So the first one is there is a paper from Climate Change in Japan, 2020. This is from MEXT. And this paper mentions what's happening when the goals of the Paris agreements are achieved by 2030. So there are two scenarios. So achievement of the 2-degree warming scenario, this is with the mitigation measures. This leads to a 30% reduction in annual maximum snow depth. And then scenario 2 is the achievement of the 4-degree warming scenario. This is without additional mitigation measures. So this leads to a 70% of reduction of in annual maximum snow depth. So it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what is the impact is maybe the reduction in the snow melt may lead to decrease in dam water level. So there may be a shortage of water in households. And then, of course, additionally, in areas like this Matsunoyama area, maybe water scarcity might be happen in agriculture. And then the second one, the risk is a lack of preparedness for heavy snowfall. Regular snowfall allows for the maintenance of equipment and employment opportunities in this huge area where it's huge snow.
Yep, got to be prepared.
Yeah. But if snowfall becomes infrequent, it may be challenging to justify investments in snow-related infrastructure, or maybe it's hard to keep hiring the people for the removing snow.
So facing a lot of challenges, right, in
Yeah.
this area. But you strike me as a very positive person. So what do you see as the future for this area?
I thought three situations. One, things will not change. Well, this is actually, it's really realistic because right now in Tokamachi City, there are many shurak disappearing. There are also the number of places referred to as genkai shuraku, which means marginal communities. Or there are very few people and then everyone is high population. So this is one thing. And then also the second situation is compact city. In Japan, discussions about the concept of the compact city have been ongoing, and this concept aims to restrain the expansion of residential areas and also save maintenance cost of infrastructure and promotes people's interaction. So this is a concept, and if this compact city concept can successfully integrate with the Satoyama areas and functions, maybe that works. But if the compact city is not irrelevant to the Satoyama function, the Satoyama area, that might be Satoyama might be disappeared in this two scenario. And then the third situation, this is a positive situation. I don't know whether it's a creation of an effective job or way of life in Satoyama, or maybe interaction with the nature. I'm not sure which point, but if the charm of Satoyama can be discovered and also adapted to modern preferences, and if people successfully promote those attractive points, maybe the local population may increase and the function of terraced fields and rice fields and Satoyama areas may continue to exist. And in the recent years, the term related population, kankei jinko in Japanese, has started to emerge, and it means people who deeply engage with the local community beyond just visiting as a tourist as a single time. So there is a growing movement to increase the Kankei Jinko these days. So yeah, that's what I thought. 3 situations.
So the byline for my podcast is a podcast about life and travel in Japan's legendary Yukiguni. And so part of the reason I started this podcast is I want to attract people to come to these snow areas to see them, to visit. But my dream would be for them to actually come here and fall in love with it, like I did, I think for yourself as well, and to come here and find it as an option to live here. I think there's lots of positives to come and living in a place like this. But obviously, for most people, if they were interested in Matsunoyama, the first step is to come and visit and just to see it. So if a listener was wanting to come here, what would you recommend as the best way to experience Matsunoyama? What activities are here? What destinations are here to visit?
Yeah, in Matsunoyama or like Tokamatsu City, there are lots of good, interesting points. For example, maybe biggest thing is maybe art festival. During the Echigo Tsumari Triennale, you can engage with the local nature and people through the artwork. And then they can also participate as a volunteer group, and then they can work with the local people and then also like artists. And also it's a good experience. And then also like Matsunoyama Onsen is very famous. It's if people like onsen, it's very yeah. Even like if you don't know about like detail about onsen, you can just enjoy, and then like it's very unique smell, and you can be surprised.
It's very famous, actually.
It's very famous in Japan.
I've been to Matsunoyama Onsen many times. For me, the biggest impression is exceptionally hot.
Maybe you went to Takanoyu, which is famous for the local people.
Oh my lord!
So there is local people always go to Takanoyu, and it's very hot.
It's incredible. And what I found with onsen, it's amazing what a couple of degrees difference does. Speaking of climate, a couple of degrees makes a huge difference. To me, perfect onsen temperature is about 41 degrees. But once you get to 43, suddenly it's only 2 degrees, but 43 suddenly feels really hot. You get above 43, wow, it's incredible.
Yeah. On 2 degrees, it feels like so different. Yeah, and as you said that there is a toji culture. In the old time, they used the onsen for the medical purpose. Even not just for the relax, but for I don't know how to put, maybe medicine?
My understanding is that's kind of how, that was the origins of onsen, really. Because originally it was medicinal. And then it became just more about relaxation and...
Yeah, maybe that's called the toji culture. There is a toji culture in Japan.
Yeah.
So, I think Matsunoyama Onsen is famous for that.
Yeah. And particularly beautiful in the snow, in the winter, right? With the heavy snow there.
In winter. It's very beautiful.
So, and the arts festival you mentioned, just to jump back there, you're talking about Echigo Tsumari. Echigo Tsumari is a very large arts festival. I've read that it claims to be the largest open-air arts festival in the world, over an area equivalent of the size of metropolitan Tokyo. But through this area, which is all mountains and forests and rivers and just very beautiful, it brings together both Japanese and international artists and some very high-profile artists to come here and work with the communities to try to revitalize the economy and bring new people into it. So it's a real meeting of the country and the city. And the first festival was in 2000. It has the official festival every summer. But it still goes all year round, so people can visit any time to experience the arts festival.
Some places there are usually open the artworks, and then people can go anytime and see the artworks. And then even not with Triennale, there is even once a year there is events, special events for the showing the artwork. So people can see anytime for like according to. Depends on the events.
Are you involved in the arts festival through your role?
Actually, I involved art triennale. Actually, in this Kurokura Shuraku, there is one artwork is coming. It's called Palace Kurokura. And then they use, the artists use the abandoned houses, and then they make the artwork inside the houses.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, and then my my role is, of course, helping the artist. So helping making the artwork together.
Who's the artist for that?
Artist's name is Todo. He put the accumulated glass in the, for example, wood beams or in the rocks, and he creates that artwork.
Yeah, so this is how I discovered Matsunoyama. When I lived in Tokomachi, I volunteered with the festival because at that time the Australian Embassy in Tokyo was part of the festival, and they operated what they called Australia House, which was an abandoned, beautiful old kubinka. That every summer Australian artists would come here and do a residency at the house and create whatever art they were involved in. And I volunteered just to help out, kind of that kind of liaison between local community and the Australian artists, is to help. The other thing worth mentioning, because I know a lot of my listeners are interested, there is a ski resort here in Matsunoyama. Can you talk to me about the ski resort? What's it like? Is it worth visiting?
Yeah, Matsunoyama Onsen Ski Resort is very unique and interesting because, of course, people can enjoy skiing, but people can enjoy various activities such as snow biking and airboarding, snow skating, snow striding. Also, winter camping.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it's very various activities. So it's not just for skiing and snowboarding. People enjoy a lot of winter activities. That's very interesting place.
I imagine it's a ski resort with plenty of snow as well, right? So it's quite a small ski resort.
It's a small ski resort compared to maybe a Hakuba or Niseko or Nozawa Onsen. Or, it's small, but it's very I feel like more like a ski resort for the local and also various activities.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's very unique.
So Shotaro, I want to say thank you for speaking with me today, taking the time to do so. I think what you've had to say is really interesting to listeners. So I look forward to getting our episode online. If anyone is interested in learning more or following you, how can they do so?
I'm writing the blog. It's called Snow Notes, and I mainly write down the Satoyama or snow countries contents in Japanese. But sometimes I write down the English, and then if I can, maybe in the future I also want to write down more contents in English too. So if people read my blog, it's gonna be appreciated.
I really recommend it because that's how I discovered you. I was searching myself when I was just reading up about these areas. I found your Snow Notes website, and yes, as you mentioned, some of the pages you published yourself in English were really tremendous. There's more information there on Japanese, but no problem. It's 2023. Just use the website deepl.com for the translator. Great translator. It'll translate everything almost perfectly into English from Japanese. And so I regularly recommend looking that up. I'll put the link on today's show notes. Thank you so much for your time today. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's episode. Once again, another very big thank you to Shotaro for making time to speak with me, and again to Shimamura-san for use of Matsunoyama Sakura. To provide a little more information about some of the highlights of Matsunoyama, let's start with Matsunoyama Onsen, considered one of Japan's 3 great medicinal hot spring towns, along with Kusatsu Onsen in Gunma and Arima Onsen in Hyogo. Its source of water is unique in that it is trapped fossilized seawater, estimated to be around 12 million years old, coming up from deep beneath at a temperature of around 90 degrees Celsius, that's around 194 Fahrenheit. The water is exceptionally mineral rich, which our skin is said to absorb quickly, helping to heal skin, among other benefits. It's a very small village that can be enjoyed all year round, but is especially beautiful in winter when buried in snow. There's a good amount of accommodation to choose from, including traditional ryokan, that's guest houses, with their own onsen and often private onsen. Located deep in the mountains, guest houses in Matsunoyama Onsen make use of local produce, serving great menus built around some of Japan's best rice, traditional fermented foods, very common in the snow country, and wild mountain vegetables referred to as sansai. Both Shotaro and I highly recommend Matsunoyama Onsen as a place to visit and a base from where to explore all of Matsunoyama. Shotaro and I also discussed Echigo Tsumari, first held in 2000, Echigo Tsumari Art Triennale, also called Echigo Tsumari Art Field, sees both international and Japanese artists come to the area to work with the local community and to tell their story, in an effort to help bring new people and energy into the region, and in doing so revitalise the economy and life there. It's held over a vast area of heavily forested mountains, with installations typically set outside in natural landscapes or in abandoned, repurposed old schools and traditional houses, as installations in their own right, galleries, museums, or event spaces. It is huge in scope and attracts some very big names in the international Japanese art scene. Nevertheless, it continues to fly under the radar for international visitors. The official full Triennale is every 3 years, with the next set for summer 2024, with the smaller festivals in the years between. And given that many installations are outside and the festival includes dedicated art spaces and galleries, museums, Echigo Tsumaru effectively runs all the time. I'll be dedicating an episode to Echigo Tsumaru in future. There is just way too much to say now. The best thing to do is check out the link on today's episode page or show notes and click onto the official Echigo Tsumaru website for more information. Matsunoyama is a participating area in the festival. Finally, Shotaro and I touched upon Matsunoyama Ski Resort. Located only 5 minutes drive from Matsunoyama Onsen, the ski resort is small, with only 5 official runs serviced by 2 lifts and a conservative 383 metres of vertical with the longest course of only 2 kilometres. But it gets a lot of snow and has some very nice trees to dive into. Little chance you'll see any other foreigners there. It's very local. As Shotaro mentioned, there's also other activities you can enjoy there, typically open from mid-December to mid to late March. If you're looking for a change of scene, to go local and get some big powder, then Matsunoyama Ski Resort is worth the adventure of getting to. And I guess that's the final thing to say. Matsunoyama is beautiful all year round. It's very lush and green in summer, thanks to its abundant forests and rice fields, followed by the beautiful autumn leaves and yellowing rice of the harvest in late September to early November. It's certainly worth visiting outside of winter, especially for the Arts Festival. Winter is, however, what it is known for, and it's worth going there just to see life in the deep snow. Houses encased in it, walkways and roads carved through it, and the beautiful culture and good people working hard to sustain their proud community. I hope you can visit, and I just dare to dream that maybe someone listening to this falls in love with it, embraces the challenge, and chooses life there. Shotaro's website is snownotes.org, that's spelled snownotes.org. I've included links to his website, Matsunoyama Onsen, Echigo Tsumaru Art Field, Matsunoyama Ski Resort, and Matsunoyama Sakura, the venue where we recorded the interview, on the episode page of the Snow Country Stories Japan website, snowcountrystories.com. The website has further information about my services as a tour guide and writer, and you can follow what I'm up to and the pod on Instagram, Facebook, and X by searching Snow Country Stories Japan. My name is Peter Carnell. This has been Snow Country Stories Japan. I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with the next episode. Until then, it's bye for now.